just before I came on, when I said I was coming on, I was trying to get it off, and them things are impossible to get off. I was like wrestling with it quick,
I
trying
had
to get
that small talk. I was sitting here having that small talk on my own, thinking, "Oh no, it's happened again."
I feel proper awkward.
Right, we've got some people in here now. First thing, I mean, that's what most people are sort of going to be interested about. Camilla, Nell, how are they? I seen it was Nell's birthday the other day.
They're good, mate. They're really good. Yeah, they're up in bed now. Yeah, we went up to Cam's parents, so we call them Nan and Grandad Scotland, for the birthday. Just had a nice chill one, nothing too crazy. It's funny because obviously first birthday, she doesn't exactly know much about what's going on around.
Yeah.
So you don't want to go all out and do a bit, you know. We had just had a nice little family time, and it was nice, mate. But we're really good. We went to the zoo today as well. She absolutely loves it.
How has this sort of last year been for you? Because I think the first time we spoke was more or less like a year to this kind of point. Because I remember that it wasn't that. I think Camilla might have like been due in a couple of weeks or something, and it was like fatherhood was a bit of like a mystery. Obviously now, you know, a year. How has that year been for you?
Mate, it's been just bizarre. One thing I can't believe a year has gone past.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound possible. It doesn't feel possible. But yeah, it's been amazing, mate. It's been tough. It's been fun. It's been life changing. It's been all of these. It's like an emotional roller coaster. 1 minute you're like, feel like you're falling apart, and you're like, you don't know what you're doing. The next minute you're in pure bliss.
Yeah.
It's just been weird, mate. But I wouldn't change it for the world.
Wouldn't change it for the world, though, I bet.
No, exactly, mate. Exactly.
Right. The wedding also was. I should say, I've seen me and Oscar seeing you at the Boxstar event.
Yes, mate.
And you were quite honest in the interviews. You said, "Look, at the minute, I'm enjoying life. I've got the wedding coming up." How was it?
Like, well, I soon paid for that, didn't I? Listen, wedding was amazing, mate. It really was amazing. I had my best man who I lived in New York with. He was in town for 10 days as well, so I got to see him. Got to see all my friends I hadn't seen in ages. First time my family and her family are all in the same room, like to that extent. Yeah, mate, it was brilliant. It was a really great day. Very stressful leading up to it, especially knowing how to fight 4 weeks later. But yeah, it was good, mate. Really good.
So you got a voice, haven't you? Seen a little video of you singing.
Do you know what? I only ever sing when I'm absolutely hammered, and I was absolutely hammered. So you know that's why I done a little duet with Emma, our singer. But yeah, I do like a sing song here and there.
Mate, who doesn't? To be fair, for an occasion like that, you can't really not.
Do you know what it was? Funny story. It was my mates from New York, Danny. They always know that, like I said, when I get drunk, I used to get the guitar out. I was that idiot who used to get the guitar out and sing at an after party. And this was 10 years ago or so. And it was him when he was there, because I haven't seen him in so long. He was like, "Jewett, get out there and do a little thing." And then everyone started getting me to get out there. And I was like, "Oh, you're twisting me out."
You had no choice then.
Well, you know, not.
Just look at it.
You don't need to tell me. You don't have to tell me twice, mate.
Right, let's move on to the boxing. Let's talk about the celeb boxing, because obviously I saw you at the press conference. I wasn't there on the night, unfortunately, because I think there was just like stuff that meant that sort of, you know, that we couldn't sort of all come over and stuff like that. Me and Oscar obviously would have liked to be there supporting you, but you always told me that you wanted to box. You did. Obviously, I imagine like that wasn't like the perfect camp for you and the perfect like experience of the. But you know, you had a bit of it. And how was it for you? I mean, I think it wasn't it 3-2s the
it
fight.
Was 3 2-minute rounds. Yeah, it was 3 2-minute rounds. It was a sprint. Do you know what? When I first got told about doing 3 2-minute rounds, I was so used to like sparring 4, 6, 3. And originally my thought process was, oh wow, that's a sprint. You're not going to get to do much boxing. Thank God I didn't do longer than that, because like I said, I didn't go in there in very good shape, and I fucking gassed after the first round anyway, because to be honest, mate, I really underestimated my opponent, and I overestimated my ability to drink through a training camp and still be all right.
Yeah, I mean, I think you were hanging at the presser, wasn't it?
I was absolutely over as hell. But massive respect to Dan, mate. He was really good. He really was good. I was expecting him to be good, but I thought I could handle it. And mate, he was just brilliant. I just couldn't get close to him, and he wobbled me big time in that first round, mate. And after that, I don't really remember what happened. You know? But it was a wicked night, mate. I enjoyed the whole experience. I'm going to do another one, but I'm going to get back down to my old weight class. I shouldn't be a heavyweight, mate. I'm nowhere.
I was going to say, if you do another one, are you going to sort of take it a little bit more seriously?
Yeah, I definitely will. Like you've said earlier, I don't want that to be my experience in boxing.
Yeah, you know what? At the end of the day, like, I think if you're going to have it, and I don't mean this won't sound bad or anything, but like that was probably the worst time if you were ever going to fight. That was the worst time for it, bro.
I knew, this is the thing about being overconfident in the beginning. I knew when they said October the 2nd, I knew I was getting married on September the 2nd. I knew that I was having my stag do. But like I said, I was a bit overconfident. I thought, I boxed enough, I'll be fine. I won't, I'll be able to handle it. And I thought he would be a lot more nervous and he would gasp because of his nerves and that. And he didn't. He held it together. He boxed really well. And I went in there unfit and just got done.
Did the event phase you at all? Because obviously that's like, people were saying, I'm going to be doing a boxer's ring walk here. And that's what you did. Did it sort of like, did that get to you or not really?
No, the weird thing, I kept saying to my trainer, like, when are the nerves going to kick in? Because he was like, he said, I had one of my trainers, fella Paul, he's a BKB fighter. He said that he's nervous the full week before. I always knew that I don't get very nervous for things until right the moment they're about to happen. But even then, I just felt a little bit blasé about the whole thing. Until he punched me, obviously, and then I was like, right, I need to wake the fuck up. And unfortunately, I didn't. But yeah, no, I just honestly, mate, I just really, really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the atmosphere. I enjoyed the whole experience. Yeah, like, that's why I'm looking forward to doing it again.
Yeah.
Now I know I don't get nervous, but now I'm gonna train my ass off, get in there fit, and see what I can actually do.
And that's when you will be nervous.
You'll probably,
give it your best. You'll have the best camp ever, and then you'll be fucking bricking it.
Do you know what? In a way, I think that might be true because there'll be a lot more riding on it then. I think in my head, I was giving myself a little bit too much of a break because I'm like, I haven't, I'm not in the right shape, which was the wrong mindset to be in anyway, regardless of how hard you train. But I my whole blasé attitude and being hungover at the cup presser and all this sort of stuff, I paid the price for it, but it made me too blasé on the night. I thought I was going to snap out and switch on and that would be it. Just didn't sort of happen. I just felt like I felt like I was at a party. I was like, this is great.
Well, Shane's just put in him against James English, let's get it made. If you were to do another one, would it be one of them Boxstar events, or would you do like, would you do it amateur, or what would you do?
Do you know what? I've sort of chatted to my trainer about this. It's a tough one, really, because like I said to you, I think I mentioned to you before, I've got like a torn supraspinatus ligament in my right shoulder and a torn part of my labrum. I've got arthritis in my knees, and especially since I've gained all this weight and I feel so much older, I've always wanted to, and I wanted to a few years ago, do the amateur route and do it properly. And when I did this,
I remember you saying that last time we spoke.
Yeah, but I felt like I'm just getting to that age where I need to do something, otherwise it's going to run out of time. In January, I'm going to try and drop back down to 80 kilos. If I feel better in myself and feel a bit younger and feel a bit fresher, then I probably would try and do a couple of amateurs. But I don't know. I'm going to have to test my body out and see how I get. See if I can even get back down to that weight again, mate. Because don't get me wrong, I didn't change my diet. And I know I was drinking, but I was training twice a day, 5 days a week, sometimes on Saturdays. And I didn't lose that much weight. Like, I don't know if I'm on the wrong side of 30 now. I don't know. I don't know what it was.
I don't know. I've got a few years. I've got a few more years left, luckily.
Yeah, honestly, mate, I really felt the difference. So I think January's going to come around. I'm going to do a big weight loss in Jan. I'm going to stick to it this time. I've done the dad thing. I've done the whole year. I've got that out of the way. So now I can focus. And I'll see how my body feels and I'll make a decision then, I reckon.
Let's move on to the man that boxed on Saturday, the man who brings just thousands of people in from Romford, Mr. Johnny Fisher. I just love that family so much.
Yeah.
Just how good, by the way, because obviously I've seen that geezer that he boxed against Tommy Welch, and Tommy Welch is a good heavyweight, and Tommy went a distance with this guy. Johnny knocked him out in 2 rounds. I mean, with that support, he just looks like a star in the making.
Do you know what's crazy with Johnny Fisher? I think I was saying this the other day. He kind of reminds me, his family as well. He's like, I love the show Gavin and Stacey, and I love the family, and I love all the characters. When I saw Johnny, he's a beast. He's got a great look about him. He fights like a motherfucker, but he's also got this really relatable, likable character about him that makes you want to be his mate, and makes you want to watch him. And I feel like that's why.
And he just is easy to get on with, if you know what I mean.
Exactly, and he's great in interviews. He's got all of that chat. I feel like he's a real. He's gonna be a fan favourite, and at 4-0, having 1,500 people supporting if you go to him, basically keeping the show alive. Because, but you've only had 4 fights. That's unbelievable, and that's only gonna compound and get bigger and bigger. And I think he deserves it. And his old man, Big John, as well. Like
fucking legend, by the way. I'm interviewing him at the end of this week, and I tell you, all my group chats were just so gassed. They were like, "Get me a Bosch." Everyone just wants a Bosch, bro.
Bosch. But that's the thing. It's like I feel like boxing as well. Like people realise it is a sport, boxing, and it is a lonely sport. And you know you're on your own. But for that reason, you're your own PR person. Your personality matters. How you are on screen matters. Like
how you
have to be likable. And it's not only your fighting that sells tickets. And I feel like that guy's got all the ingredients to grow a huge fan base. And obviously you see him.
Look at like the support that he's got now. And sort of like, and I said to him, I interviewed him at the press conference on Thursday, and I said, if you look at the support that you've got from like Exeter, where you went uni, and then your lot from Romford, and then you start adding in people that don't actually know you, but not only enjoy the boxing side of things, but like fucking Big John's a celeb in Romford. Like that man walk around the streets and just get like bombarded with photos. That's only gonna like. I've seen even people starting to go. I was speaking to Johnny, and people are even starting to go over to his TikTok now. And if you think he's 3rd, 4th fight with that support now, you just think 10 fights down the line, he'll be selling out the O2.
Exactly, mate. And like you say, I think a big part of it is because he's already got such a following. People go where hype goes. He's already got the hype.
Yeah,
that piques people's interests and goes, who's this guy? Like, how's he got 4 fights? There are all these people behind him. Then they start to take notice, and as soon as you take notice of him, you can't not like him. Like all of them, like his whole story, his whole persona. So yeah, he's gonna smash it, mate.
Let's talk about the heavyweights, because obviously it's all been sort of going on recently with them. I know you're a big boxing fan; you'll keep an eye on it all. Anthony Joshua Usyk. I know it was a while back now, and I was there, but a bit of a strange one, or sort of almost to be expected. Do you feel?
I don't think anyone expected it. Not that they didn't expect him to lose. I don't think they expected him to fight the way they thought, the way he fought. I do believe that is obviously a big reason why he did lose. Not to say that he can go in there and fight different and win. I think he has to if he's going to win. But I was the biggest Usyk fan. I think when I first spoke to you, I said he was one of my favourite fighters, and I loved him for so many different reasons. But saying that, I did not know or didn't think he would be big enough to deal with the likes of Joshua. And that's when, because Joshua fought the way he did, he didn't use that size. It kind of played into the fact that, like, okay, well, we didn't even have to worry about Joshua's size and strength because Joshua tried to box him on the outside and lost. Like, didn't fail miserably. Don't get me wrong, that's still some of Joshua's best boxing, but he's against the master. You're never going to beat him like that. Like, well, you know, I just think it's unlucky. I hate the way everyone thinks it's fickle to turn around and go, oh, you're going to get smashed in the rematch and all this. I don't know how that rematch is going to play out.
Though, isn't it? The minute you get lost people, because it happened when he lost to Ruiz, bro. Everyone said, why is he taking the rematch? Why is he taking the rematch? He'll get chinned again. The only thing is, I sort of, you know what, I didn't expect it, but because I've always like admired Usyk and just seen his record on the road, it was sort of one of them where I wasn't as shocked as I think most were.
No, I genuinely thought I gave it sort of a 50-50 really. It's one of those ones that was so difficult to imagine in your mind. Obviously, you knew if Usyk was going to win, it was going to be on points. But then again, he almost knocked him out at the end, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, nearly finished him late.
Yeah,
So.
going into the heavyweight division, having those two fights, he had that other fella, then Chisora, didn't he? So he was largely untested at the top of the echelons of heavyweight, and he went in there straight away with AJ. And I don't know, it was a hard one to call, but you know, now I've seen it again. It's obvious that, like everyone's saying, it is the truth. I think he needs to pressure him. I think he needs to go hell for leather for 6 rounds. Not dissimilar to when you watch Wilder fight Fury and his whole tactic change in the
That's the
rematch.
thing.
Come forward and just swing for the fences.
AJ was built up as this fighter up until the Parker fight. It sparked everyone out that he'd been in with. I think something up until like his 18th or 17th fight or something. All of his fights were under 7 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're seeing like, okay, like when you're an elite level fighter, obviously the adaptation's necessary and you need to change. But it's almost like he got to being where he was because of that bulldozer style he had. He'd walk in there and literally right hand chin someone, left hook, and people had no chance against him. And I'm not saying that you have to operate that against Usyk, because if you go in there and you just walk straight into something, the way that Usyk can box, he'll come back and catch something. But I think that's sort of what people are saying, in the fact that he didn't even once look spiteful with his shots. I think there was one nice right hand that he landed, and you think, okay, maybe put on the pressure a bit now. But no, none of that.
Yeah, that's it. I must say, like, after the Joseph Parker fight, I think you saw a little bit of a less aggressive Joshua, didn't you? More trying to be a boxer.
That's what I mean, yeah.
But I do believe that a lot of that come from the sort of psychological aspect of social media and everything. Because I remember around that time, he kept getting slated for not being a boxer, just being a juice head, just being a meathead, being strong. And I feel like you listen to enough of that, you want to start proving him wrong. So he started to try and be the boxer. Don't get me wrong, he's a bloody good boxer and he done really well, but that did take a little bit of that front foot edge out of him. A little bit of that spite, a little bit of that nastiness.
Bruiser.
Yeah.
Not a boxer.
No, yeah, exactly. And who knows? We might see him now.
Not just.
Yeah, we might see him now be a fucking bruiser against Usyk #2. I mean, him in that interview, mate, saying that, you know,
What do you think of that?
I thought it was interesting.
Because I've had to interview Eddie since, and I've said to Eddie, like, Joshua comes across a bit anti-establishment here, in the fact that, like, even at times in that interview, Joshua was like, Eddie ain't saying the truth the whole time. And after, you know, especially after all this loyalty talking, and they've signed that lifetime deal, and then a couple of weeks later, we're hearing this. It's, I don't know, people are always going to question with Joshua.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, Eddie Hearn, I remember seeing Eddie Hearn's response to that, saying that, look, the kid's very well media trained and something along those lines, but he is angry and trying to sort of be like, look, he just sort of let his emotions get the better of him. It reminds me a little bit of, you know, it's like now he's signed into that deal, he's actually thinking, sod it, like, you know, I can say what I want now, because I ain't got no other deal coming. I've already signed the contract, so I might as well be dead honest about it. And to be honest, people are like, he shouldn't have blamed his camp, you shouldn't blame the people around him. But although we do say boxing's a lonely sport, a massive part of it is your training camp, your tactics, the people that tell you to do this and that, and you do take a lot of advice. It is a team sport in that aspect. It's just on the night when you get through ropes, it's all about you to put it into action. But there was a massive part of it that, you know, especially tactically, if they recommended to him to go in and box the way he did, I do think that was a big part of the reason. Yeah. And he looks a little bit more open to saying that now. Why not? Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
See, I just think now with, like, obviously when he lost to Ruiz, there was a massive sort of not narrative as such, because I actually do believe it, but it was, you know, the whole loyalty thing, and it was, let's not take people away from our camp, let's just make the camp bigger. The only thing is, in doing this, and the talk on, like, whenever I hear people and, like, I'll go in and I'll ask people what they think, it's like the word yes men just seems to come up now. And I suppose there is a little element of that when you look at the corner advice. I mean, going into that 12th, to me, and I think to most people, it was clear to see that Joshua needed to knock him out or at least have him down. I mean, I think even on the cards, even if he put him down in that last round, I don't think he would have done enough. But, like, I suppose you have to sort of question, like, why wasn't he more fierce in those last couple of rounds? Why was there no one in his corner saying, you're about to lose your world title? Yes, Oscar, what you saying?
Yeah, it's a weird one, mate. Again, it's difficult. It's difficult. I don't remember listening between rounds, but I'm sure they must have told him something along those lines. And maybe after you've been boxed like that against someone that you probably thought you would beat because you're a lot bigger than him, it's demoralising. And maybe every little bit of that was just beaten out of him by that point, which is understandable. What you're talking about as well, I do find it a risky strategy for him to turn around and say, I'm going to bring people into my camp to stay loyal to the ones that are there. Because then you've got the too many cooks in the kitchen scenario, where you've got
what it looks like we had almost.
Well, exactly. So, I mean, I don't know. Put it this way, with that whole scenario, I can't wait to see the rematch. I have no clue what's going to happen, but one thing I will say, everyone needs to stop jumping all over Joshua right now like they did after the Andy Ruiz loss. Just see what happens, and huge fucking respect to that guy if he comes back and wins a second rematch, because that is dealing with emotional pressure and stress 2 times in a row, and that will make him a 50 times better champion than what he was before this loss. So if he proves us wrong again,
now he's proved that he can implement both, and if he can implement both, then it makes the future very interesting.
If he comes back and wins that, then we're huge. So he's given himself almost another chance just to shut people up and go, that's what I'm capable of, and that's dealing with emotional stress like no one I've seen. If he can win this rematch, so we'll see.
Talk about Fury. Obviously against Wilder, I don't think anyone expected the fight, but like,
what's a scrap?
It feels a bit unbeatable. Like he goes down and he just gets up. I mean, if you're getting chinned twice in a round from Wilder and you're getting up, are you ever gonna stay down?
Do you know what? I find it so tough because I know everyone is like Fury's unbeatable. He's amazing. He's best heavyweight. I fucking love Fury. I think he's brilliant. But the fact is, the guy is so untested. Like, and everyone, like, it frustrates me that people argue when you say this. The guy's resume is not that fucking great. All right, he's got no one other than Derek Chisora before Klitschko. Klitschko was a win, but it was the most boring fight you'll ever watch in your life. It was really not a convincing win. And let's face it, Klitschko was old just as then he was old as Joshua. Everyone says Joshua fought him old. He'd beat Klitschko before he got in the ring. He'd mentally beaten him before he got in the ring. But even then, the fight wasn't that impressive. After that, he fought a couple of chumps, and then he fought Wilder, who, right at that time, everyone was questioning Wilder as a boxer, and still are now. Not because Fury's fucking amazing, like the narrative has now gone, but because he was always questioned as a boxer and fought nobody other than Luis Ortiz, who almost beat him twice, and he got out of it with his lucky right hand. I am all for Fury. But this whole unbeatable persona that he's got, he's beat no one that's tested him. He's fought no one of that caliber to turn around and go, he's undefeated, unbeatable. Wilder's a shit boxer. He always was. And now all of a sudden, Fury's just this crazily good person because he beat a shit boxer that everyone said was a shit boxer. Like, do you know what I mean? I find it difficult.
No, I do get it because I think up until this fight here, there was still like the fact that Fury had never like defended a title or anything. The only thing is now, is it like for Fury, if he goes on and beats White, say, which I think he does personally. Let's just hope Dillian White will know him from the team's watching this because long day for me. But yeah, no. So if White goes in there and Fury beats him, and then I suppose we get Fury Usyk, you know, just being if I were to predict it, do you think then Fury against Usyk, like who do you think comes out of that one?
Again, do you know what? It's just another step of saying that I don't know what he would deal with his size like. If Fury goes back, Fury's huge.
Yeah.
So that's a 6'3" against a 6'9". That's a huge thing to overcome. But then it all depends. Exactly. But it all depends on how they fight. If Fury fights front foot Kronk style like he has Wilder twice and doesn't give Usyk any breathing room, a little bit like we're expecting Joshua to need to do to beat Usyk in the second fight, you would think he would not be able to, Usyk wouldn't be able to handle that. You would think. I can't get out of that mindset. If he fights like he did in his new style, his new come forward, punch hard, lean, wrestle, this style, he will beat Usyk quite comfortably. But then again, Who the fuck knows? I can't. Usyk is such a. Usyk is tried and tested, and he has passed everything.
And that's the thing. Every time he's gone on the road, he has beaten them.
Yeah. He's a little bit like a Batman villain in my eyes. He's like this weird, kooky, mad guy, but he's almost a boxing genius, and you just don't know what he's capable of until you watch it. So, my heart would say that Fury, if he fought forward fighting like he did against Wilder, Usyk can handle it, but. I don't know. That's a wicked. I can't wait to see that. But again, I want to see Fury against the likes of even people like Povetkin, Pulev, Parker, like all of those little sort of gateway people, like those people.
Just so he has got like more evidence.
Yeah, just a little bit more before we start saying the guy's unbeatable and all
this stuff. Do you like the White fight?
Huh?
Do you like the Dillian White fight?
I like Dillian White fighting anyone. He'll give anyone a scrap, and he will come up. He'll come there to take their head off. He'll box well. He hits hard. He's spiteful. You know what you're getting with White, and he'll give any of them, a good fight. He will give Fury a good fight. Whether he wins it, I don't think he will win it. I never say never, but you'll get a good scrap, and he will test Fury. Like, look at another thing with Fury. The Otto Wallin fight. It's like everyone just forgets that. Everyone's like, "Oh, he's such an amazing boxer." This Otto Wallin landed on him repeatedly.
That's what I would have really liked to see White Wallin, to see where Wallin was.
Brilliant.
I was gutted at that fight.
That's exactly it. That was a little measuring stick of sorts to one of the other many unknowns that Fury's got on his resume to see just how this guy pulled this off. Is it like everyone just forgets about it? Is it Fury just had an off night, or is Fury, when he's in with a top tier heavyweight of these days, is he that amazing? Like, do you know what I mean? I'm not taking away from his skill, but that doesn't mean that some people with different styles will test him. You just haven't seen it yet. Do you know what I mean?
Right, I'll ask one final one because I know that sort of you haven't got too much time, but I'm going to see if I can put it up on the screen. Has it come up? Do you think Caleb Plant's stamina will cost him the fight in the later rounds with Canelo? Obviously, that's coming up this Saturday.
I find it very difficult to believe. I like Caleb Plant a lot. I like his story as well. I think
his story's fantastic.
It's amazing. I like his work ethic, his self-belief, his boxing skill is brilliant. I cannot see if someone as great at boxing as Billy Joe Saunders, and I know Billy Joe doesn't turn up to a lot of his fights and he hasn't made a good account of himself, but he is a boxing genius. A little bit like Fury, like we're saying, they are about as good a boxer as you get. I don't believe Caleb Plant has anything that Billy Joe didn't. He hasn't got great power. And as well, like you've just said, the stamina issues as well. Canelo gets stronger and stronger and stronger every round. Right up to the 12th, he gets more spiteful. He puts more pressure.
Fighting Canelo in the last 4 rounds.
This is what I'm saying. And I can't see anyone other than the likes of Beterbiev and the stronger, grittier, light heavyweights. There you go. That might be his ceiling.
Just because I just think Canelo at 168 is mad. I thought him against Kovalev at 175 was mad. But Beterbiev, who could be a fucking cruiserweight, like that, the man is that big.
Yeah, that's it. I believe Beterbiev, the likes of him, might be Canelo's ceiling. But I don't think Caleb Plant's quite got enough to keep him off, and I do think he'll get stopped late round.
Mate, everyone at the company's there, and I couldn't get my visa. I'm gutted. Mate. I was meant to fly out today, mate. I don't even want to think about it.
That's savage. I can't wait though for the fight. You know, Canelo's he's a spectacle, isn't he, at the moment? So, but yeah, I agree. I think his stamina, I think his lack of sort of just physical strength, Plant. I know he's a great boxer, but I don't believe he's good enough to keep him off for 12 rounds.
Right. Jamie, thank you very much. Done about half hour. Nice little session that was. And then hopefully see you soon, whether it be at the boxing or whatever, and we'll have a few beers or something.
Legend, mate. Good to see you again.
Nice one, Geese. Take it easy.
Bye.